The Life Journey to E. Chapter 11. An Encounter. One weekend afternoon, when I was on the way to the northeast corner bookstore, I encountered one of my middle school classmates, Ah Cheng. When we were classmates, we were very close and often hung about together. Ah Cheng's academic performance was not bad, and it should be no problem for him to enter the high school section of the same school. However, he chose a secondary school after graduation from middle school because the financial condition of his family was not good. The study in secondary school was less costly than high school, and he could work several years earlier than others. I entered high school after graduation and had not seen him since then. Ah Cheng loved to read UFO exploration magazine and science fictions. There were often knowledge competitions on television, and he always dragged me to the library to borrow books about Q&A on a variety of subjects. After studying hard for some time, we sat in front of the TV and competed with the players in the TV shows. What are the 4 books? What are the names of the 9 planets? I still remember the knowledge obtained when Ah Cheng and I read the books together. At that age, we had really very good memory. Nowadays, I hardly recall what food I had the day before. Pleased with the encounter, we found a restaurant and had a meal together. Ah Cheng asked me about my situation. I told him that I just became unemployed on a hasty decision. He paused for a moment and did not give an answer. I asked, "Is this a painful topic?" Ah Cheng smiled and said, "Not really. A few years after my graduation, my working unit was shut down. Then I took some money from my family and went to Shenzhen for development. I spent all the money before I found a suitable job. I could not afford the rent of an apartment. I slept in the square of railway station. I tried odd jobs, hard labor work, and I still could hardly feed myself. I could endure hunger for 1 or 2 days, but on the 3rd day, my legs started to feel weak. If I do not want to starve to death, I must find a way before I lost all my strength. I did not have skills for stealing, so I started to rob." His words startled me. "Wasn't there a rescue station? You should get help from the police." Ah Cheng replied disdainfully, "Have you ever been to a rescue station? The local citizens can seek help from the police. People roaming about in Shenzhen like me may be just used as a scapegoat for some criminals, and then it would be done for." So I was being very naive. There must be a reason if things developed to that point. Ah Cheng continued, "In the beginning, I also struggled for a long time. Later, I was really starving, so I made up my mind. I started from the elderly, the weak, women and children. Hunger was my justice." "And then what?" I asked. Ah Cheng said, "Later I met some people of the same line. Our team had dozens of people at the largest. We specialized in robbing middle-aged men." I said, "Were you moved by conscience and stopped robbing the elderly and women?" Ah Cheng said, "Not fully because of that. The elderly, the weak, women and children have very little money. It might not be a good thing when the team expanded. The competition also escalated. Before I was surrounded by small fish and shrimp, and later I was surrounded by sharks and crocodiles. The guns often fought with each other. You had to always be ready to spray your neck blood on the walls." When Ah Cheng said this, the rice in his mouth was sprayed on the table. He was no longer the teenager I fought for books with. I had no disdain for Ah Cheng, and I do not believe in moral models. In fact, when I was having the meal with him, I thought about this question. What would I do if I hadn't been able to depend on my family for months after quitting my job? I asked Ah Cheng, "Why did you come back?" He said, "I dreamed of my mother repeatedly for a period of time. I was frightened. Moreover, it was said to be a severe crackdown on illegal activities in 1995. So I came back." We exchanged the number of pagers when we parted. Later, the call station of pagers was shut down and we lost contact ever since. During the physical lives of Ah Cheng and me, we studied together, we had a meal together during adulthood, and probably there will be no further intersection between us. For those who make a living from violence, to spray the neck blood on the wall is the truth. For those who often involved in romance, the relationship between man and woman is just a game. For those whose life is always happy, it is difficult to understand the dark side of society. When a man is confined to the energy field in which he is located, his mind is also paralyzed. In Ah Cheng, I see how critical the selection of one's energy field is to a person's life, though I only saw half of the truth then.